I'm a huge history buff, and the only thing better than history is if you pair history with lost treasure. I've never thought about that before, but why would you learn regular history when you can learn history where there may be treasure involved and maybe even findable treasure involved? So that's my new hobby, is learning history where there could be treasure involved. So I have gone down a treasure rabbit hole, starting with Justin Posey's book, learning about Victoria Peak, and now the Empress of Mexico, Carlota's missing jewelry. This book, Chapultepec to Castle Gap, talks about this very interesting story. It wasn't a very good book, but it's a very interesting story. So the author, Roy Peterson, he grew up in West Texas, and he spent years searching for the Mexican emperor's treasure. So he's very familiar with the tale. The book is strange. It's under 100 pages. It borrows heavily from Frank Dobie's Coronado's Children. It's almost like he just copied that part. And then it shifts unexpectedly from historical nonfiction to like third-person teen fiction. So it's not a greatly written book, but it's a very wild and interesting story, and it's not told very often. So I wonder if it's not told very often because it's not true. I don't know why it's not told very often. I mean, to me, it seems true. It seems very plausible, but I'll give you the short version of it. So while the U.S. was engulfed in the Civil War, Napoleon III of France installed a monarch in Mexico. He thought he'd just slip a monarch in there. And what he was hoping was that the Confederacy would win. And see, since he highly funded the Confederacy, he thought the Confederacy would join with France, and he would somehow rule at least the southern part of the Northern American continent. Well, we all know what happened there. And so what he did is he just left the monarch there high and dry, Maximilian and his wife Carlota. He just left him there. Well, Carlota escaped, and Maximilian was killed by a firing squad. Before he was killed, he loaded up all the Castle Chapultepec's treasure. I mean, Carlota took a little bit of her jewelry with her, but he loaded up all their treasure, at least over a ton worth of gold and jewels, and he put them like in barrels, and he put flour on the top of them, and he sent a group of 19 people hauling flour to the Galveston Bay to ship flour to Europe. Well, anyway, one of the Austrians in the group had a 6-year-old daughter, so it was 19 people, including this little 6-year-old girl. Well, one of the Austrians wanted protection going through West Texas because he heard of the Comanches, so he hired 6 Confederate soldiers to be hired guns to get them safely to Galveston Bay. Well, that was a bad mistake because these were some bad guys. And when they found out about the treasure, they massacred everyone in the party, buried the bodies, and buried the treasure. Peterson, in this book, names one of the Confederate outlaws Lucky. Lucky stayed behind because he was genuinely sick, but the others suspected that he was planning. They didn't think he was sick. Outlaws are very paranoid. They thought he was going to double cross them and go back and take the treasure. No, but he was legitimately sick, but what they did is they shot him. And so they shot him, and then they hightailed it to wherever they were going to go, and then they were going to come back for the treasure later. Well, Lucky recovered from his gunshot wounds and I guess his sickness, and he was okay enough to walk. And he stumbled upon his outlaw friends, and they were murdered and scalped. So out of all the 26 people that knew about the treasure, Lucky is now the only person that knows about the treasure and where it is. Well, he finds himself in a camp of horse thieves, and he gets arrested with them, with these horse thieves. And what's so funny about this book is the author, he is like so sympathetic to Lucky. He paints him as a victim wrongfully accused of horse thievery. And I just thought that was so funny. I mean, the dude murdered 19 people and buried them and took the treasure. I mean, I don't feel sorry for Lucky. It's like he forgot about the whole massacre part. So anyway, Lucky ends up in jail, and They send a doctor because he's about to die, and a lawyer, because the doctor and the lawyer are trying to get him out of jail to go to the hospital. And so now the doctor and lawyer are with him. He's in his dying breath. He tells them, go past the cactus and past these couple stacked rocks, and you're going to find the Empire of Mexico's treasure. And so, of course, the doctor and lawyer hightail it to Castle Gap to look for this treasure. Now, the author believes that the doctor and lawyer found the treasure. They just say they didn't. But I don't think they found it. I have a completely different theory about where this treasure is after going down a YouTube rabbit hole. And I will tell you about that in my next video.